open the meeting and apologize to everybody for being late. Sorry. Thankfully, I live 3 minutes away, and I didn't speed.
Duly noted.
There must have been a cruiser behind you.
All right, approval of meeting minutes. Everybody read them? Okay, everybody all set with them? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. All right, construction update.
Okay.
Before we start, I'm sorry, I just
Yeah,
want to
do it
introduce
one more time.
Virgil, in case anybody hasn't met him, Virgil Pacheco.
Mary Brown.
He is new with Pomeroy. He started about a month ago, not new to the construction industry, but he's one of our new project managers, so he's just bouncing around from all of our projects right now, and he's helping me out with some things here, so you might see his face, just so everybody knows him, and everybody's already met Neil as well, so.
Mayor didn't.
No.
I had, no,
No.
hi, I'm Mary Brown.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Neil Provost is the clerk on site, so
Okay.
he's there daily.
All right,
Owner's rep.
He just came over from Dartmouth PD. He had handled that project, which came out really nice.
So we don't get them anybody green, we get experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Very experienced. And that wasn't an old joke.
Okay, construction update. We've got a lot going on. As you can see, the weather's, it's winter. Simple as that. We're around the corner. Next week is, by our calendar, we got 4 more weeks of winter left, January, February. We've had some break in the weather where the roofers have been able to come out a couple times already. Within the last 4 or 5 days, they're putting the last of the roofing shingles on, flashings around all the openings and roof and stuff. It's nice and tight on the upside of the roof now, which is great. Nothing's penetrating in. The framers have got a couple of things going on. They've got a couple of crews, both inside and outside. As you can see, when you drive by the building, they've already started installing the windows on a good portion of the building, and the siding on the west side or the east side?
East side.
East side. It's good, because you got, obviously, put the windows in first and then start your siding. Looking very good. They're doing a very nice job on it, taking their time with it. They're not pushing anything on it. So that's going on. And on the inside, we've got some interior work going on the ceilings for strapping to accept the drywall. That's going on. A lot of blocking, in-wall blocking, because you're going to have grab bars, television mounts, all that kind of, that's going to be ongoing from now, even while the boarding is going on. That's going to be happening. We're always going to pick up something and make sure that everything's going to be nice and secure when you go to put something on the wall. We did get confirmation we should start to see the metal stairs going in next week for access to the second floor. I believe they're going to start with the second floor to the attic with the HVAC equipment, as we call it, a ship's ladder. That's going to be going in first, so you'll be able to get the other trades up there nicely, and then they'll work their way down. Other than that, if we have to take the temp out, that's fine, because we can walk around the back of the building, through the other access garage doors, so everybody can have access to the building. The site work, obviously, we're still on hold on that. We can't be fooled by 1 or 2 good days of weather and then a couple of bad days. It gets wet, it freezes, it thaws. It gets wet, it freezes, it thaws. That's the nature of winter right now, so we're just holding off on that, but H.E. Collins is in contact with the site contractor every week. This week we also, okay, utilities. I'll be in touch with the utilities on a regular basis now. We've been in touch with Verizon's and Comcast. We talked to the phone vendor. Dave Virgil did that, so we're all kind of gearing up. Once we get going, I'll request a technology meeting at the site. So we have the 911 people there, your phone people, your cable TV people, your in-house, your town network people. Everything's going to be there all in one shot. We go up to the IT room. You're going to be here. You're going to be there. So everything gets squared. Everybody knows where they're going. So that's on track.
The new poll went in a couple weeks
Yep,
ago.
poll we actually have, which is, I'm going to say thank you in a big way. Eversource have treated me very well on this project, and a little bit has to do with what we did in Dartmouth. They treated us very well at that project. Believe me, they came out in no time. Neil, when you want it, we're there, and they were. So that's a huge out of the way as far as that goes. Other than that, the schedule looks good. I don't see any deviation so far, but that, we'll be tweaking that as each week, couple of weeks goes by. Okay, Ed, where are you now with what the schedule says? We tweak it that way. And the contractor did give us an updated project schedule a couple of weeks ago that I monitor, and I go over with HV Collins every week. Ed and I talk every day. And that's your update on that.
All right, anybody have any questions? No. I know some people that are really happy that the ladder's going up to upstairs. Project schedule update.
I'm not gonna ask. I think Neil kind of spoke to that. They have been keeping us, they give us a 2-week look ahead every project meeting we have. And then they just recently gave us a full project schedule update. And it's still projected to the summer of 2020, where we've been kind of looking at all along. So no change to the overall end date at this
I haven't
point.
seen any red flags yet.
Once we got past the culvert, that was a huge milestone that they could just blow and go on the site work. So we're past that now.
Okay. Budget update.
Budget update, I do have a update sheet in front of you. And there was only one change at the meeting. I couldn't be here because I think my family all had the flu at the time. Was the change order 5, which came across. So you'll see the recommended adjustment from December to January, and then that reflects in the contingency line 34 at the bottom. So under month ending January 22nd, 2020, you'll see line 34, what your contingency is at right now. So still very healthy.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions? All right, the one thing that, we'll get to that when we do the tower. All right, material testing update?
Testing right now, we're caught up as far as our outside work goes. Andy, thank you. Engineer showed up for a site inspection today. We do a number of inspections. Last week, we had 2 inspections for electrical and plumbing, which your town inspector does. Both the people do that for us, and we also go through Andy because we need their engineers to make sure that they are satisfied with the project. So it's a double thing that they're happy with it. It's according to the plans and specs right now. But that's going to be ongoing. Those inspections help us to keep on track for the inside work in the main building. So now we'll be able to start boarding, but we also have to have inspections for your ceiling work and stuff, but that's all open, so we're not closing anything in that we can't see and that we can't let other inspectors see. So we're all caught up on that right now.
All right, change requests.
You have your change request sheet in front of you. It's the longer one, the legal paper there. And just a couple to discuss tonight. Actually, maybe even only one at this point. But so everything that's open is in yellow. Number 14, the sprinkler protection in the attic, and this is a revised number. You'll see the original value there was just south of 24,000. The updated number is a little south of 15,000. And Andy, if you don't mind just giving the background on that one.
Sure. So this change takes place with the sprinklers. It's over the detention and Sallyport area in the roof. And what's going on is when the attic gets to a certain height, you have to introduce uprights or attic protection as well as the regular protection down below in the rooms and the corridors that go down that space. So in the main building, has the attic and then the second attic. Well, that's where the ship's ladder is going up to the HVAC system. This is occurring in the roof trusses where there's no rafters. So originally it thought that uprights weren't going to be needed because of the height of that attic. But it came out that it's right there. So they had to add upright heads. The reason the first one was so expensive is the sprinkler contractor wanted to add a whole new lateral main to feed the uprights. Upon looking at that, the engineer engineered it and said you do not have to add a new lateral. You can just put some T's in with some uprights, and then put the upright heads on top of the T's. So that's where it's at right now. We've it started at that 23, almost 24,000. We've spent a lot of time going back and forth on it, and right now it's at 14,000. I want to go by there was a two-digit error again. So I talked to Oliver to make sure it was right, but this time, but right now it sits at, I don't want to read off that sheet because I want to get it right, 14,339.57.
Went down a little.
Well, I'm not so sure. That's how they wrote it in the event log.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened on that last one too. That's what they wrote in the event log, but it wasn't right.
And after speaking with your engineers, your recommendation was to approve this one?
Yes, this version of it.
Yes, and this is needed per code.
It's needed per code because of the height in the attic
Yeah.
over that space in the trusses.
Anybody have any questions? No. Paul? No? All right, so you're looking for direction on this, I would assume?
Yes, this
All right,
one, yeah.
then, we would need to have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right,
Sec-
are you sure there's no questions on this? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
The second one, the security changes, I believe you guys spoke about this at the last meeting. Since that meeting, we went back and tried to get this number down. They took 5% off. You'll see it at 26,554 now, 544. We've rejected this, so we're taking this off completely. And what Andy and I have spoken about, we've kind of floated this with the chief as well, is we're gonna not do any of this additional doors. We're gonna get everything built out per contract, per scope, and then we think between the two of us, we can work with an outside vendor after the project's over to come in and do this work at a third of the price, if that, to wire up these extra doors. It's nuts what they're looking for to be paid for this, so we can't agree with it or professionally recommend the pricing. So they are. The chief and I did go through and slim that list down of additional doors, and they are pricing that right now. Depending on what that comes back, we might reject that one as well, and just say, listen, do what's per plans and scope right now. But we'll see what that is. So we're just taking this one off the list.
Okay.
Same with 17. This was to just add 2 data ports in one room. Again, it's just a little higher than we'd like to see for just putting a couple data ports in a room. These are going in a room that the chief hopes to do some additional smart storage, so some smart key boxes and some smart locker storage. Smart meaning that if you put something in the locker, it logs in who put something in and who took it out. If you take a key, which key they took and who has access to what key. It's a really nice system. Dartmouth just used it and really liked it. So we're getting quotes for that, and the plan is if we have a savings in our furniture line, we could carry this equipment in that furniture line and get it into the budget at no additional cost to the project. So we thought that at the time that we get the pricing to install that equipment, we can have them install that data line as well, and it's going to be less than $2,500. So we'd like to take that one off the list as well.
No one objects to that, correct? All right.
And the last one, 18, this is for some flashing of some exhaust collars on some roof curbs. We're not in agreement with. We're going back and forth with the contractor on this right now, so we don't even want to talk about that price. We're hoping it's going to be wiped to zero.
Okay.
So just there to track right now.
All right, perfect. Everybody all set? All right. Tower.
The tower.
Oh, the tower.
So, at last meeting, you all talked about, you were still in communications with the vendor that was gonna do it, at no cost to the town. So what we did since then was, after that, we spoke with the original bidders and got some updated pricing there. And we got that pricing back. And our recommendation to the town at that point was, if this company that wasn't willing to play ball on the leasing side of it, and the town didn't feel comfortable with that, we need to make a choice here and start to move forward. So we had the updated pricing on the tower for the town to purchase and own the tower. And so we got that pricing back. That recommendation went to the town that if we're gonna move forward, it would be Industrial Tower to move forward with them. And then they had an additional cost in their proposal to upgrade the tower to allow for 3 cell carriers on that tower. That came in within our budget. It's something we had planned for before. Really going with a lease tower option was just gonna give us a big savings, hopefully to do the carport or something else like that. But this fits in our budget, and we were, hoping to move forward with Industrial Tower as the vendor.
And that was a state bid, right?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
so just want to clarify that was.
state bid, yeah.
I thought at the last meeting that we had, we discussed going out to bid.
We already did, a year ago. That's how
No,
we,
At the last meeting, I'm sure we
Oh,
discussed.
no, you weren't, you missed a meeting in between.
No, I didn't miss the last one.
No, I think we were discussing whether it had to be rebid or something,
Rebid,
Yeah, we
I think.
because the old bid might have
We
been
talked
we
too.
just had to get
No,
the pricing
we just had to
updated.
have the pricing updated, it didn't have to be rebid.
I'm not losing my mind
No.
yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you
I
meant
wasn't at the
the
last, I
tower.
wasn't at the last meeting, so I don't know what was.
Sorry, Paul, I thought you meant go out for a new tower vendor.
No, I
No,
thought they
right.
said that we had to do something with, we may have to rebid the,
Right,
Okay.
so when
Yeah.
we talked with town council and, David and Taylor, Margaret said we did not have to go out to bid, but we did have to update the bid, for salaries and,
Yeah, so there was,
Yeah.
it's still the lowest bidder?
yeah.
yeah, so we originally didn't go out to bid, we went out for quotes, and I guess we're using the term bidding
Right.
as the same thing, we shouldn't be,
Right.
because it's confusing, but we got quotes last year, and when those quotes came in, at the same time, we had quotes for the radio system. We got the contract and moved forward with the radio system, and then we were preparing to move forward with industrial for the tower at that time, and that's when we got this proposal from a company for the leasing, and that's how the whole leasing thing started. So we still had this bid in our back pockets, and so when the leasing thing started not to work, I went back to those 2 bidders that we got bids from and said, here's the new prevailing wage rates, I need you to update your bid based on today's, current rates. They updated it, still under bid, still, low, and still under budget, and so that's where we are with the new bid.
The problem with the, tower proposal that we had from the companies is they weren't really willing to budge all that much for us, and in the long run, we feel that we can bring in more money, ourselves and put it into the general fund.
At some point, you'd be able to, with the co-locators, scaffolding that's on the tower, I guess there's a provision in there that would allow us 3 co-locators. And at some point in the future, we could say, all right, let's locate 3 additional companies like AT&T, Verizon,
And the town
T-Mobile,
will
whatever.
benefit from that.
And then we can make
exactly.
money on it.
Yeah.
All right. And we did, just as a point of information, we did put together a contract that we're gonna be proposing to the Board of Selectmen, which actually includes by reference the bid proposal form, all of the insurance certificates, including the town listed as an additional insured, state procurement certification, prevailing wages, and the RFQ materials for the bid, the original thing that went out for the quotations. The amount was, $272,945. There was one little snag in that we did send the quotation, or not the quotation, but the specifications for the insurance that were listed in the original form of contract that was provided to us by town council. They recommend that we use their contract standard because it doesn't allow the vendor to set the parameters of the contract. We did do that. On all of the insurance items, there were variances, but they were favorable to the town. The only thing in there that wasn't, and I just got an email probably about 45 minutes ago from Laura Peckham, who's our Meyer representative who works for Cabot. The products part of the general liability. In the contract that's recommended by town council. It recommends 3 years on the products. The vendor has said that because they renew their contract annually with the insurance company, they can't get the 3 years.
Yeah, you only get one.
So it would be limited to one, and that's a policy decision. I asked Mark, and I asked Laura. Laura said, and I can actually read the email, that, hold on one sec. The final decision to accept or reject Maya's recommendations is up to the town. I highly recommend the 3-year operations because you never know what can come up within those 3 years if there's a problem with the construction of the tower. However, if you're gonna have a problem with the construction of the tower, I would think it would happen within the first year.
You'd know right away with the
Yeah.
tower.
She said, unfortunately, Maya is unable to provide completed operations coverage for vendor's work. I also asked her, well, can we buy coverage to cover us for the additional 2 years as sort of a products coverage? And she said that that's unavailable. I'm not an expert in insurance, so I'm not gonna make the recommendation, but I think that, you know, if there's a way to address it in the interim, that we can try to do that. If not, then, you know, it'll be a policy decision to say, yes, let's limit it to 1 year. And
Yeah.
everything else is in place.
Yeah, no, neither am I an insurance expert, so it really comes down to, I think, what Maya's telling you and what their
And
company,
what
I
you're
guess,
comfortable
can
with,
do, yeah.
what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And if we're comfortable with the fact that we feel we can, you know, any construction of the tower is considered the product.
Yeah,
If there's any problem with the product, I would think you'd see that in the first year, you know.
yeah, absolutely.
Actually, it would take the first ice storm. You have to design those to have a certain amount of ice caked on,
The first
and
big
that's what
storm.
loads it the most.
That's when the insurance
ice.
would kick in.
Does the insurance start when the tower is done being constructed?
Or the date of opening of the police station.
That's what I would ask.
Yeah,
Is
okay.
is that 1 year like a warranty after it's done? Because that'll give you time
Well,
in
I-
the winter.
Or after the
Well, I
punch
guess
list.
this is not a warranty per se. This is the insurance that they're purchasing to cover their exposure.
Yeah,
I don't know if there's a side warranty.
I
that
don't know
would
if
be yeah.
the insurance starts once they start construction or once they finish
Full
it.
completion.
Because if it's on the product, I don't know.
Are we gonna own this tower?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
And when do we take ownership of the tower?
as soon
I don't
as
think it's constructed.
once it's done, constructed and signed off by a structural engineer, and
The town would have to
Yeah.
formally accept it after reviewing documents, reviewed by the engineer, et cetera.
yeah, the engineer
The
would sign
town would
off.
have the opportunity to reject it in the event its expert or engineer said it was deficient.
It's all inclusive in the 350, right? That's listed on the budget. That 350 police communications.
Well, there's gonna be more money involved, because if we're going to have up to 3 co-locators, and we talked
yeah, we're
about
gonna
this
make
at the
revenue from it.
meeting, we have to identify a location where they're gonna put their generators, their support cabinets, et cetera, and we've gotta run conduit out, because if we don't do it now, we run the risk of having to dig up, a parking lot and driveway, and
Yeah,
so, what would you ballpark
there's some
guess
extra conduit,
to run out to,
$5,000.
all right, so.
Where would you put the
I would-
pads? Wouldn't they be
I would
next to
probably
the
do
tower?
down to the left,
Where
left corner.
remember we were planning the auxiliary building, Paul?
Yeah.
About-
So in other words, these are not gonna be near the police station at all, they're
No.
gonna, okay.
Yeah,
Over
they
where-
can't really fit.
Right.
where we
Over
want.
where we were once considering an
Yeah.
auxiliary building before
Okay.
we did the attic
Away
school.
from,
But don't they usually put the bill, these people, they usually put this stuff up themselves.
Yeah, no, they will put up everything.
Yeah,
We just
but you
want to
wanna
put
dig it
conduit
up.
on the ground so they're not tearing up our new driveways.
Oh, okay.
That's all we're
All
doing.
right. We're not putting down the pads or anything.
No, we're just giving them a pathway, and then they can do everything else.
Can I ask you a question? On the tower, the 272, 945 that
Yep.
was mentioned, does that include all the cabling? Or where's the cost for all the cabling that goes up to our antennas?
In the radio vendor's quote.
Okay,
And
so that's all covered?
Yeah.
Within- is-
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's covered in the radio vendor.
Okay, because that's gonna be pretty expensive.
Yeah. I'll confirm, I'll double check that, but it should all be in his
It's
quote.
not gonna be extra. In other words, we should be all within our budget here, right?
Yes.
The tower company's gonna build the ice bridge?
I believe it is in their quote, yeah, we have to take a look at that. I think it is.
It's not a monopole, it's a,
Yeah.
what do you call it?
Lattice,
I'm sorry?
lattice.
Lattice, yeah.
3-leg, 4-leg? 4-leg tower?
Yeah, there is a cable bridge.
4-leg tower?
It doesn't say, we won't know until we get the engineering drawings. Based on the last one I did with them, it was a 3-leg.
3 is more typical than 4.
4 is much stronger.
But yes, it does include the cable tray, cable bridge.
Any other questions about the tower? Furniture.
Furniture, we've met with Sheehan's and WB Mason. We have quote from each at this point, or
We're still waiting
Sheehan's
for
are still,
Sheehan.
still waiting
I'll
on.
get that this week.
But both look like they're gonna be under budget. And like I said, enough so that we think we might be able to get in the additional smart equipment that the chief wants. So we're hoping that's the case.
Okay.
Also, I didn't have these items there, but it's a subcategory under furniture, but the dispatch consoles, we received the pricing back on those, and that is about 20 grand under budget on those as well. The chief did have a couple comments back to them that they're just revising a few things, and I still think
It'll be even
yeah,
less money now.
the cost will even be less, so we'll have a good savings in that line as well. And phones, we met with Vertical today, or Virgil met with Vertical today, and they'll be giving us a price for the phone system.
Yeah, because we were actually very close to doing the install in several buildings.
Yeah,
town hall.
it worked out perfect. The
Council.
town was using Vertical, and
Yeah, so I think the only question that they had is, you know, when the town system was gonna go online.
Oh, all right. Yeah,
So-
we're like within weeks, so that
Okay.
they're gonna do the install within the next month or so.
good.
Because it's a VoIP system, it's not
Mhm, correct.
a copper line.
That was it under owner vendors.
I just wanna bring something up
Yeah.
though while we're talking about owner vendors. The one thing that we had been banking on with having, an outside person come in with the tower is the carport, and we really need to start really thinking about that, because if we can give direction to the construction people sooner rather than later, we would be better off and they would be very happy with us. So I think that we really need to start thinking, if we're gonna, A, have the money to do it, if we still want to do it. The more I hear you keep saying, Taylor, that we're saving money on X, Y, and Z, the happier it makes me feel. But I think that we do need to look at what the change order would be for that.
Yeah,
Or
let me
with
just
the
give you,
ad.
and hate to talk about this stuff because this is what happens. Ooh, more money. But line 23, for example, furniture and furnishings, we're carrying 203,000. The first quote we saw from WB Mason was 111,000.
Well,
Yeah, but that, when he said that, that made me really nervous, like, are you sure?
That was
You were-
WB today.
Okay.
Well,
So we're
that-
talking Sheehan's might be less than that.
Right,
Yeah.
cut
is
out
that
So
the
the-
one that I was really nervous about?
Sheehan's was, yeah.
okay.
Well, Sheehan's also included, some lockers that the contractor already has, so their
Mhm.
price dropped,
Come
you know,
even-
70,000
more,
coming
right.
out of that meeting, so we're waiting for them to kind of give that revision probably this week,
Okay,
so.
Yeah, and then in line, I just talked about this one, but dispatch consoles line 24, we're carrying 70. The first quote came in at 54. So, you know, as we buy these out, these lines will shrink to what their actual value is, and it'll go into the contingency. So,
mhm.
On the carport, didn't we have a discussion in a vote to at least put in
The base, I think.
That's
it
it.
That's
was,
still a
yeah.
vote.
Yeah, that's-
That's a
yeah.
vote, okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
it's
everybody's
already been
talking
signed.
the
about-
structure.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you, with the savings, you may have enough to.
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
good.
And we'll know on the furniture soon, and we'll know on the dispatch console soon. You know, there could be a savings of 150 grand there, and I think that's pretty close to what the structure itself was,
I think, the structure was 2 1/4.
but we've already paid, but we already paid,
If we could.
oh, not counting the
37,000.
foundation?
No, it's 2 1/4 total,
Yeah,
and then,
we paid 35,
yeah, so we've already bought
so we're
35
close,
out.
190.
So we need 190,000?
Yeah.
I know.
You gotta get this done.
So-
Right,
So what do we need to do with this? Do we need to,
And that's not take, I mean, you still have a very healthy contingency too. That's, we're talking about trying to do this without even taking anything out of contingency. We might be able to fit it in the budget. So, what I would recommend is let me see if we can put some pressure on, the furniture side of things and see where that savings comes out. And, we do have to get some pricing on the equipment, the smart equipment, the cheap ones too, but I think there'll be some savings in, a few of these items that could help us. I'll get us exactly what the structure will cost, where we are right now, because we've already done the foundation portion of it. And I think it's around 190 or 180,000 for the structure, so we gotta confirm that.
all right, so let's, possibly have a meeting in 2 weeks from now, and then once we know what the numbers are, we'll go from there. I just really wanna caution us all, though, again, and I keep saying it, and I'm super frugal when it comes to this stuff. And I saw it happen at the schools, and it sometimes you start to see the police station take form, right? And you're like super excited, and you're like, oh, and I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying in general, our needs are sometimes more of a want than a need. So I think that the townspeople have been really good to us, and you can start here chirping like, oh my God, look how big it is, da 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 da. If we can show them that, A, we already put $720,000 additional savings towards it, and if we can give them any more money out of contingency and get the carport, we'll be looking golden. And I think that for me, is where I'd like to see. Out of everything, I think the carport is definitely needed, not a want, but more of a need, especially in this climate. So, I would, I'd like to go there, but I'd also like to make sure that we send some more money back to the taxpayers.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we should get that done, because we'll never go back to it.
Right.
We'll never, and if we can weasel out the money from within the budget,
Mhm.
we ought to just get it done.
So is everybody comfortable with, well, when is our next construction meeting?
Next Thursday.
Next week.
Thursday? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just,
I'll pressure to get furniture wrapped up this week
Okay, perfect.
and phone.
Yeah, that's great. So if I hear, and I don't wanna, I'm here for you guys, so, if I hear on that Thursday at the construction meeting that there is a significant savings, do you want me to tell the construction people to go forward and give us, with the carport, or do you wanna hold off and have a meeting in 2 weeks to go over the numbers? Carlton's there too.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's much danger if you're gonna just go forward with it there, considering the other savings.
Yeah, well, it's up to the board. I just think that if we get that snapshot that day and it appears there's enough money realized to offset that cost of the carport, just give it the green light at that point. If we're looking at, what is it, 700,000 plus another 100 or so,
even just to be
potentially,
safe,
or-
call it another 100, which I think it'll be more, but.
And you think we're out of the woods on, and correct me if I'm wrong, but based on your experience, we're out of the woods on major changeovers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How much you think we're gonna have left over in contingency when the project's done?
There we go.
Wow.
It comes out of your back pocket if we don't.
No, seriously, if we're only talking a couple $100,000
If,
to do the carport, to me, that's a goal.
yeah,
But if you're talking about a couple $100,000 and another $300,000 out of contingency,
yeah, no,
that's not a goal,
I,
not from my standpoint.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
it's, you have 725 right now, so you add another 100 back in savings from furniture. Minus, what is it, 50 for that equipment? 50K?
No, it's
No, I
about
think it could be worse.
30,000, 35,000 maybe?
Minus 35.
For half of what I used in Dartmouth.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then, so that's that's 790 minus the carport, call it 190. That puts you at 600, and maybe you spend another
That's a healthy number.
500, maybe you spend another 50 to 100 grand.
If we
50
can
to
give
50
back,
to 100 grand?
if we
I
can
would
give
do
back the townspeople
mean,
500K,
yeah.
we're
Use
good.
that as your
Oh,
base.
fuck.
We've
Use-
done more than our share
Use that
of
as
trying to
your-
save and
absolutely.
everything else. I think
Considering
that we're.
Yeah, we've cut,
Considering you added.
$500,000
We
is
added and we
a lot of money to
also
give
put
back.
down a lot of money. The
You're
reason why
right.
we have the station that we have is because we saved a lot of money along the
Right,
way,
right.
even before we put a shovel in the ground, so.
and, you know, to Taylor's point, we sat down and we cut things out of the furniture budget, you know.
But you didn't cut, you're not gonna be lacking anything, right?
No,
Well,
I
you
mean,
didn't
I'll
go to
give you an
that point.
example. The detective office was built based on population projections, et cetera. So it had 3 desks. We cut out 1 desk. There are 2 desks. There are file cabinets. But there is enough space, it's designed that in the future, if you needed
So
you
you're
would
not
just
hurting
slide.
yourself by those
That-
cuts. I
that's
just don't want
correct.
you hurting
That's-
yourself by the
Right.
cuts.
The same thing with the dispatch.
Okay.
Instead of the Cadillac, we went with a product that we're using now, we're happy with. We cut out some of the options that we didn't, you know, we went practical, so we realized the savings there as well.
Yeah,
So,
I can't tell you how to spend your money, but
No.
I think it's one of those things that the risk is pretty low right now based on where we are in the building. Would you agree, Andy?
Yeah, I think, well, a few more mechanical type related, because we're trying to fit, if you look in there, you know, we did the mechanicals in 3D to try to avoid any hits in it. Walk through that building, there's not a square inch left in the hallways.
But I,
The pipes on top of each other, so we're
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't
bit
see
What
there.
about
and-
site? Any problems with
I
this?
think we're past that.
You think so?
I do see
Okay.
a potential, a need on the site, and it's something the town could do later if possible, but that is, when you drive up to the garage area on the 2nd level, you do have the retaining walls, and it may be prudent to put like a wooden guardrail structure up there, because in a storm or fog or something,
I think we have
some
a fence
guy-
up there.
Yeah,
some guy
that's up there.
plowing may,
We have a
oh, I didn't
fence.
see that on the plans.
Yeah,
Okay, well, strike that.
Perfect.
I'm pretty sure we have a fence up there, right, Andy? The top of the retaining wall?
Yeah, we have like a wooden guardrail.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So that means you can
Think
drive.
of everything. I can, without my glasses.
All right, so is everybody comfortable with the chief and I talking about this on
Yes.
Thursday and
Yeah.
at least giving everybody there a direction?
Yes.
Okay?
So, well, we probably don't need to meet in 2 weeks again then.
It's up to you guys.
If that's the only thing that was pressing.
Okay.
We could schedule it, at, you know, typically like a month out like we've been doing.
Mhm.
That'd be good.
Unless something comes up.
Yeah,
Okay?
If something comes
All
up,
right,
we can
perfect.
meet at any time.
Yep.
So if we were just gonna go,
4 weeks.
it'd be the 27th
Uh,
of February.
ugh. Okay.
And what time works?
4 o'clock, a bit later than 4.
4 o'clock is really good.
4 o'clock, just remind me.
Okay.
Split the difference and do 4:30, it'd be easier.
Yeah, it's fine. 4 o'clock's fine. I was actually waiting. I
She's there.
went
not here.
home.
4:30?
Wait a
No.
minute,
Yeah, I can't.
you were here at 4:30,
It's light.
so we should keep it at 4,
No,
that
I
way
was
you'll
here
be here
at,
for.
actually, I was here at 4:13,
Oh,
so.
okay.
All right, so we'll do. There needs to be a point, though, that I'd like everybody, I know that there have been some field trips made into the building, but I'd like everybody to have a field trip into the building at some point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which brings me to a good point. Field trips in the building should really be scheduled with Neil or the contractor. I'm not saying, you know, sometimes it might happen that somebody might wander in there, but it's the contractor's insurance and everything. You know, if they were to find out that you're in there and somebody gets hurt, you know, then it's an issue. So I would just be very careful about that.
Well, I'm sure field trips are
Yeah.
made during the day.
No, it should be done during the day and
Right.
scheduled, so,
Yeah.
you know,
Schedule
nobody's,
with myself or the general
Yeah.
contractor, preferably right after working hours, because even during the day, you know, if we bring you people in there, we got machines going on, nail guns, something ricochets off and knocks you in the head. It's still the same liability, so maybe right after the site shuts down at 3 to 3:30, come on aboard, we'll take you right through.
Yeah,
Nice and
if
quick.
we wanted to set something up
Yeah.
now with like Neil on a Friday at 3 o'clock, you
Or
know,
something like that,
everybody's
yeah.
kinda done, he'll walk everybody through.
Yeah.
It's safer that way.
So, anytime, do you want one field trip, does it matter?
Right now, I'd probably say do a field trip when we get the board up.
Okay,
Yeah. You
Not
can see what the
necessarily,
rooms
not
look like, yeah.
necessarily walking around, you know, with all, everything exposed, but when we get that,
Gives you
when we get the
visual-
board rep,
gives
when
you
we get,
spatial,
then you're gonna have a better feel for the rooms themselves, because they're gonna be rooms now,
right, okay.
rather than looking at all the studs and everything in between. Once we get the board up, we'll schedule, you know, a Thursday or Friday after, 3 o'clock or something like that, it'll be fine.
Sounds good.
It's the best time to do it.
Are we all set? Where are we now? I went back, utility update, or where else?
We're all set with utilities, like I say, Eversource put the pole in for us. I'm in contact with Comcast and Verizon's on a weekly basis now to keep them in the loop. One question, when was your selectmen board meeting for the tower?
Monday.
It's on Monday.
Great.
Okay. Only because there is a time frame. There's, let's say, all of a sudden, the weather breaks, we're ready March 1st to start throwing stuff in the ground. The more we get ahead of that, and if they can pass along the information with the signed contract, not necessarily they're gonna put the tower up, but if they can say, look, Neil and Ed, we need X amount of conduit in the ground to this location, get it in now before it becomes
I actually put in the contract,
May 30th.
yeah, May 30th.
And they haven't balked at that, which I thought they were gonna push back a little, but we said that we want the tower done by May 30th.
Oh, wow.
And that's the
Mm.
contract they sent us back, so I was
Mhm.
surprised that they didn't try to, it's great.
Also, we, also opted to leave the current tower up in case of if anything happens or anything,
You
just
say you
for a while.
forwarded it to them?
So,
'Cause I didn't-
we,
I didn't forward
we
the
opted
final
to leave that up.
contract.
Now, when we do demolition of
that's-
that
they
building,
sent
at
it over
some
to
point,
you.
we may
Okay.
decide to
They
take it
only
down, but right
completed,
now we're
I
leaving
put
it
the,
there.
the May 30th. Okay, so that, yeah, so that could potentially be an
Alright,
issue.
so we'll see what they,
All right,
Yeah.
review and approve invoices, nothing?
Nope.
Okay, good. Any new business, open discussion, anybody got anything? Yikes, just again, on behalf of the committee, you guys are doing an outstanding job, I don't think any of us could be more happy with everything. So
really
hopefully
good
we
team,
can
really
save
good
you
architect,
all,
really good
all for
contractor.
our next projects.
Yeah, the general contractor, this is my first time working with them, because
They seem
they're,
pretty good.
Really
they're pleased with
nice.
them, oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Having
very
worked
pleased.
with other contractors on other projects, they're a dream compared to some.
Yeah.
Out of all my meetings, the construction meeting is my favorite meeting to go to, I'm not gonna lie. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.